Chapter 2. Fiona. Most people think the worst part of my father's world is the potential for violence or arrest, and that is, of course, a concern. But my biggest issue is that no one tells me a damn thing about anything. Like when my dad's hot-as-shit second-in-command showed up to rescue me, bust down 2 red rocks and took one of them God knows where. I had a clue what fate that douchebag would meet at Keen's hand, but I preferred not to think about it. It's how I survived, and I would use it for as long as it worked. Dad, what the hell is going on? I rushed into his house and stepped into his arms. My beautiful Fiona, it's nothing for you to worry about. Keen is going to look after you for a while. I wanted to argue, to tell him I could look after myself, but even with self-defense classes, I couldn't hold my own against a bunch of angry gangsters. Then again, maybe dealing with mobsters might be easier than fighting my attraction for Keen. Keen? I couldn't do that. Keen scared me, and it had nothing to do with what he did for my dad and his company Cerule. No, he scared me in an entirely different way. Just one look, and I felt my panties go damp, my boobs felt heavy and tender, and my mind kind of shut down. I knew it was attraction, arousal. Of course I did. But Keen was literally old enough to be my father. As hot as he was, his relationship with my dad meant I would forever be off limits. More importantly, he would be off limits to me. Of course, he's the only one I trust to keep my little girl safe. He patted my cheek like the 7-year-old I swear he still saw when he looked at me. I'm not a little girl, Dad. What's going on? I was grateful he'd tried his best to give me a normal life, to shield me from his businesses that weren't exactly legal. But now that my life of independence was in jeopardy, he owed me some answers. Nothing for you to worry about, Fiona. I made a deal I shouldn't have, and they fucked me. Now I have to unfuck myself and fuck them harder. He stood, buttoning his jacket over his expanded middle. I need you to stay close to Keen, lovey. Closing my eyes, I let out a calming breath. Whenever Dad called me lovey, things were dire. I knew he loved me, but he so rarely used non-possessive terms that it caught me off guard. Are you in danger of prison or death? Possibly both, but I'm handling it. Knowing you're safe will allow me to deal with it better. And there was the guilt trip, as though it's my fault he's got gangsters and feds after him. Right. By all means, go do what you have to do. Frustrated, I poured a couple fingers of whiskey, Irish, of course, and knocked it back to keep my hands from trembling. Angry and frustrated, I knew voicing either emotion wouldn't be helpful or welcome. Where is Keen anyway? The man couldn't very well keep me safe if he wasn't around. I'm right here. That deep voice sounded right behind me. The man moved like a panther. Or a ninja. What do you need? Stepping close enough that I could smell the intoxicating scent of his cologne, his deep green eyes raked over my face and stared into my eyes as though he could see every thought, every emotion. I knew I was being foolish. Keen wasn't a mind reader. He was just a man. A beautiful man with a great body, but still. Apparently, you. I hadn't meant to say that, but I refused to be the silly little blushing virgin in front of Keen for another moment. His mouth twitched, and then his tongue darted out and slicked across his plump bottom lip. Good to know, Fee. I wanted to smack that smirk off his handsome face. Really, I wanted to kiss it away, but I couldn't. Instead, I glared. Hilarious Keen, I muttered. He winked and turned to my father, picking up a brown leather duffel. New documents, cash, clothes, and protection. Shoving the bag at my father, he just kept talking. There's a black sedan out front with 2 weeks' worth of phones and anything else you might need. If you can't get something, call me. My dad gave him a smile of gratitude, and they shared a look of 2 men who'd done battle together and knew what the other needed without uttering a word between them. Thanks, brother. Keep Fiona safe. Keen gave a solemn nod, running a big bruised hand through thick reddish blonde hair. No thanks necessary. They shook hands, and before he left, Dad wrapped me in his arms and kissed my cheek. He held me tightly for a long moment. I love you, Fee. Love you too, Dad. Then he was gone, leaving me in the one position I tried to never be in since I'd turned 16, alone with Keen. Come on. Keen steered me to the door, his hand resting hot and low on my back. Where exactly are we going? I took a step away from him so I could concentrate, because, sweet Lord, the man was too potent. He sighed, giving me that look that said he thought I was nothing more than a petulant child. Out of town. A place where you'll be safe. For now. No, absolutely not. You can keep me safe without destroying my routine. You want to stay at your place? What happens next time, Fee? When I don't get to you in time? Then I'll have to explain to Seamus that I let his girl get killed, and who knows what else. He gave me a look that said he knew exactly what else, and I shivered. Because she wanted to keep her fucking routine. Let's go. I hated myself in that moment. Felt like I let down feminists everywhere by not kicking him in the balls and storming out. Instead, my body reacted like the inexperienced little hussy I was. So I ignored my sensitive beaded nipples, the heat pooling low in my belly and the way my heart raced. I pulled the door open and marched to the car, slamming the door harder than I needed to. Without a word, Keen slid behind the wheel and started the engine. Strong, capable hands maneuvered us through traffic, but I refused to notice. Nope, not noticing at all.